When I was a young man, long before my hair turned white and my hands began to shake when winter came, I spent one bitter November in a small farming town near the border of France and Belgium. In those days, people still trusted the evening bells, still left bicycles leaning outside cafes, still nodded to each other in the morning as if ordinary habits could keep the dark in its place. I believed that too, until the season when the fog began arriving earlier than it should have. It rolled over the fields before sunset, thick and low, swallowing fences, road signs, and the narrow canal paths where people walked home from work. At first, no one thought much of it. Cold air does strange things in open country, but then people started noticing sounds inside that fog. Footsteps that matched their own, only half a second late, a cough behind them where no one stood, the faint squeak of bicycle tires circling without ever passing by. I worked evenings then, delivering sacks of flour and crates of bottled milk to the shops that would open before dawn. It was honest work, lonely work, the kind that lets a young man think himself brave just because no one is around to hear his fear. One Wednesday night, I took the old service road between the fields, a shortcut I had used 100 times. The lamps along that road were far apart, yellow and weak, and the fog had wrapped itself around each one like dirty cotton. I remember the smell first, wet soil, diesel, and something else underneath it, something stale like old clothes shut away in a cellar for years. Then I heard a third set of footsteps, not mine, not the loose flap of my coat, a third rhythm, slow, careful, always stopping when I stopped.
I called out, thinking it was some drunk from the pub. No answer. I laughed then, though my throat was dry, and kept walking. A few moments later, I passed the bus stop at the crossroads, the little glass shelter where school children waited in the mornings. Through the fogged panel, I saw a shape standing inside. Thin, motionless, too tall for the roofline to hide the head properly. I thought it was a man bending his neck. Then the bus stop light flickered, and I saw there was no face where the face should have been. Only darkness. A smooth, deep darkness, like a hole cut into the night itself. I stepped back into the road and the crates nearly slipped from my hands. When the light steadied again, the shelter was empty. Empty, except for a patch of moisture on the bench, as though someone had been sitting there for hours, waiting for a bus that had stopped running years before. I should have gone back. Any sensible man would have, but youth is proud. Pride can carry a fool farther into danger than hatred ever could. I told myself I was tired. I told myself fog makes monsters out of shadows. Then, from somewhere beyond the fields, I heard my mother's voice call my name. Not loudly, not wildly, just softly, the way she used to when supper was ready. The trouble was, my mother had been dead for 6 months. I did not turn around at once, and that hesitation saved me, because when the voice came again, closer this time, I heard what no son should ever hear in his mother's voice.
I ran. The crate smashed behind me. Glass burst across the road. Milk spread white over the gravel like bone dust in the fog. I heard footsteps now, not human ones, but something learning to be human by listening. They copied the pace of a running man badly at first, then better, then perfectly. I reached the town square, breathless, half mad, and found it empty except for the statue in the center and the red glow of the all-night pharmacy sign. There, under that weak electric light, I finally dared to look behind me. No one was on the road, but from the mist at the edge of the square came my own voice, calling my name. For the next week, I told no one the full truth. A young man can confess fear more easily than he can confess that something impossible spoke with the voice of his dead mother, and then with his own. People whispered, doors closed earlier, the town grew quiet in a way that did not feel natural. Then one evening during patrol, we saw them, shapes in the fog, wearing the faces of those we trusted most. One looked like my mother, one looked like my friend's wife, and one was me. They did not chase us, they waited, patient, certain, as if they knew that sooner or later someone would step forward. I left that place before winter deepened, lived my life, grew old, but even now, when fog settles low and a familiar voice calls from somewhere I cannot quite see, I do not answer, and neither should you.